When you talk about, I think the thing that I find in every, at least, I occupy a part of the culture for which there's a lot of praise for good argument, but fear of fighting. So the desire to create a genteel space in the academy, which reflects, I think, corporate interest in maintaining the facade of friendliness. We're getting along. There's not, conflict is a problem. And I'm interested in how you've made conflict a practice that doesn't rip apart, but does kind of find you back working together. And I see the reason that you're delighted to return to each other is the positive collective feeling of creation and never feeling alone in the kind of capitalist individuation of the spirit. But fighting is not a simple thing. I do sometimes think that's one of the true revolution of our time, is what would meaningful, loving fighting look like, so that we could imagine that that's essential to relational building, not exceptional to it.
It's because you don't get taught how to fight with dignity. It's like, it's so like, when I think you kind of get raised in a culture where like any sort of conflict is bad, or you have there's punishment or shame. We live in a system that if you do something wrong or you fight, you could be shamed or punished, and actually, if we can learn healthy ways to be able to have conflicts, but with dignity, with empathy, because actually when you're in a state of, if you're in a state of like emotional activity, it's very, very difficult to be able to see beyond your viewpoint in that moment in time and see the other person's, and you're both just blocked walls almost. And that's where things like mediation can be super like helpful, but those are not very prevalent systems or beliefs that are placed within. We're always like thinking about that, but it's difficult.
I think also understanding, you really need to understand boundaries and understand that each person that you encounter does not know you for your entirety, and you have to find different communities, especially like for us, we're all diasporic, so it's like we really understand. It's like, I'm never gonna find somebody who grew 5 miles away from the tip of England, who is half Japanese, who went through the experiences of living in a very isolated space time. It's very particular to my circumstances. So you have to really understand how to relate to people beyond not just only their identity. It's like you really have to find your different communities and your different people that you can speak to on different levels, and be very high in openness, especially with collaboration. You have to be so high in openness, but definitely speaking to, I know, like, for example, like recently we've been on Clubhouse a lot, and I realized how much disbelief people have, and because people feel alone. And when, as soon as they feel together, there's such a crazy energy because they felt so alone for such a long time. And what I really realized at the very beginning of going on Clubhouse was that because we are three, actually we create our microcosm space. So there's a lot of protection that we didn't really recognize wholeheartedly. And often you don't, because you're in it. So you just think that's the standard. But actually there's a lot of protection because you're three. So you actually can create a mini world of operation within yourselves, and actually it's a very safe space to be in, with a lot more maybe like belief and hope, because you naturally feel stronger. Because if you have a bad day on your own, there's nothing to catch you, you just fall. Whereas like when you're a group of people, you always have someone to hold you. So if you're not having a good day, somebody else might be feeling good. So there is just like, there's more variables. So I think you have to be quite emotionally intelligent. And obviously you're not all the time, but you just have people to fall onto when something's difficult.